4. Think about the similarities in the content of the two texts. Which of these statements are true about both? Select all that are correct. We're looking for which of the statements are true about both texts, and when you're asked to select all that are correct, that usually means there's more than one correct answer. So let's consider these 5 statements in conjunction with the first text, text A. A says they describe a strange vessel being opened. This indeed is true. In this text, we're told about a cylinder which is emerging from the earth, and here we're told the end of the cylinder was being screwed out from within. So a strange vessel is indeed being opened in this text. B says the narrators are both in positions of danger. This is certainly the case here. The large crowd has gathered around this alien craft, and a young man has fallen into the hole it created. He's trying to scramble out of the hole again. The narrator says that somebody blundered against me, and I narrowly missed being pitched on top of the screw. So indeed, this narrator was in a position of danger at the edge of the pit. The writers convey fascination and confusion. As you can see, here we're told there were really, I should think, 200 or 300 people elbowing and jostling one another. So all of those people were keen to get a look at what was inside the pit. Furthermore, we're told that everyone seemed greatly excited. But then, as the alien begins to emerge, the narrator says how a sudden chill came over him. There was a loud shriek from a woman behind. So that fascination turns to something more horrific, and people then begin to get very scared and run away. We can say that here the writers convey fascination and confusion. D says the narrators demonstrate bravery. At this stage in the text, our narrator is simply observing, but in a moment we'll consider the final part of the text in order to decide if D is relevant or not. E says what is revealed is not what the narrators expected, and this is the case here. Here we're told, I think everyone expected to see a man emerge, possibly something a little unlike us terrestrial men, but in all essentials a man. I know I did. However, this is not what came out of that metal cylinder. First of all, we're told about 2 luminous discs like eyes. Then something resembling a little grey snake, about the thickness of a walking stick, coiled up out of the writhing middle and wriggled in the air towards me, and then another. Later on, there is a description of a big greyish rounded bulk, the size perhaps of a bear, was rising slowly and painfully out of the cylinder. As it bulged up and caught the light, it glistened like wet leather. So indeed, this was nothing like the narrator was expecting, which means we can give E for this text. Let's consider the final part of this text and consider statement D. Once the crowd begin to get scared, they all begin to run away, and the narrator joins them. There is no bravery here. He doesn't try to tackle or control what's come out of the cylinder. He says, I turned and, running madly, made for the first group of trees, perhaps 100 yards away. But I ran slantingly and stumbling, for I could not avert my face from these things. So the narrator here does not demonstrate any bravery. We can now consider these statements with the second text. A says they describe a strange vessel being opened. Towards the end, Ned Land gets cross and says, "Oh, confound it! Open, you inhospitable rascals!" And then we're told that the sinking movement ceased. Suddenly a noise, like ironworks violently pushed aside, came from the interior of the boat. One iron plate was moved. A man appeared, uttered an odd cry, and disappeared immediately. So this is about a strange vessel being opened. B says the narrators are both in positions of danger. We're told here about how the characters have landed on this gigantic narwhal after they were thrown into the sea by the shock to the frigate. Ned Land specifically says that as long as the creature sailed horizontally, they would be fine. He did not mind. But if it takes a fancy to dive, I would not give 2 straws for my life. In other words, if this creature or vessel suddenly decides to plunge below the waters, they would be dragged with it and would probably die. It's fair to say here then that the narrator is in a position of danger. C says the writers convey fascination and confusion. First of all, they're not sure what they've landed on, and Ned refers to it as a gigantic narwhal. They were expecting the soft substance that forms the bodies of the great marine mammalia, but of course this is not what they got. It had a hard, impenetrable body. Even when they considered that this could make it an amphibious reptile, this was quickly proven to not be the case. The surface here was smooth and polished. It didn't have any scales. The blow produced a metallic sound, and incredibly though it may be, it seemed, I might say, as if it was made of riveted plates. It's fair to say then that the writers both convey fascination and confusion. The narrator here is uncertain of his circumstances. D says the narrators demonstrate bravery. But there's no bravery here. In fact, here they are fearful for their lives. Ned gets annoyed at this stage, but there is nothing to suggest that they're going to be brave. In fact, they even find themselves wondering what kind of creatures might be inside this huge beast. So they don't demonstrate bravery, they are in fact quite fearful. E says what is revealed is not what the narrators expected, and this is the case. The narrator says here, I fancied I heard several times vague sounds, a sort of fugitive harmony produced by the words of command. What was, then, the mystery of this submarine craft, of which the whole world vainly sought an explanation? What kind of beings existed in this strange boat? What mechanical agent caused its prodigious speed? So they're expecting something fantastical, but in fact what happens is eventually 8 strong men with masked faces appear noiselessly and draw them all down into their formidable machine. This means that E is also true of this text. What is revealed is not what the narrators expected. There were 4 answers to this question: A, B, C and E. And because there are 3 marks available for this question, you should show the answers of A, B, C and E like this. Don't be tempted to put all 5 answers because that incorrect answer would lose you a mark. You should show the 4 correct answers to gain the 3 available marks here.